Welcome everyone to the piano sessions of SoundShockAudio. I'm just kidding, everyone. Welcome everyone to the Friday live track feedback stream. Thank you all so much for joining. I do appreciate it. So I have started a little bit earlier today, starting at 11 o'clock. We're running for about an hour and a half. Unfortunately, I won't be able to run at the normal time this week. It is my mother's birthday, and we have a bunch of things going on, and I won't have other time today to do the stream. So getting it in right now. So again, if you want to get your track heard, send it on over to Daniel at SoundShockAudio.com, and we'll definitely have a chance to go over the track. And how the live stream works is you'll send in your track, and I'll listen to it on the stream, and then I will give commentary on what I like about the track and what I think could be improved. And I hope you guys do the same in the chat, as this will help get a music production discussion started around the song and all things music production related, with the goal of having you guys walk away from this stream with at least one tip that you can use in your productions. So let's see who we got in this stream today. Star Ride, thank you so much for joining. Do appreciate it. Fan of Freak, yes, I am starting a little bit earlier today. As I just mentioned, I won't quite have the time later today to do the stream, so had to do it a little bit earlier. But definitely Fridays of the day that we're going to be having the live stream, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's going to be the usual time. It seems to work a little bit better for most people on Friday, and again at 12 p.m. Let's see who else we got in the stream. Banana Nana Nan, thank you so much for joining. CF Jim 23, good to see you back in here. Commander Root, thank you so much for joining. New Pointless, always good to see you in here. Slow Cool, Star Ride, and Fan of Freak, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And again, to get your track heard, send it on over to Daniel at SoundShockAudio.com. So how's everyone doing today? How's everyone doing today? Anything cool going on this weekend? Any new music that you finished up? Any EPs dropping? What's happening in your artist life right now? The feed froze. For you, Harakari music. Was that for everyone else? Fan of Freak? Or are you talking about something else there? New Pointless. I'm reflecting on old mixes and working on my retro soundtrack. There you go. There you go. That's what I like to hear. That'd be awesome, a retro soundtrack. I haven't heard a retro tune in a while. An electronic retro tune. Always good to have electronic retro tunes. All right, here we go. So we got... Who is up first here? Ivan the Dictator. Are you in the stream right now? Ivan the Dictator. I don't think he is. So that means Fan of Freak, you're up first here. Again, Ivan the Dictator, if you're in the stream, let me know and we can go over your track. In the meantime, we will go over Fan of Freaks here. And let's get it started. Wait, totally forgot. Totally forgot. We also have the free giveaway in this stream today. A free STA preamp 2 when we hit 30 concurrent viewers. Third week we're doing this, haven't hit 30 concurrent viewers. So once we hit 30 concurrent viewers, I'll be giving away this STA preamp 2 for free. For free. It's STA preamp. Let me go ahead and bring up the specs of this bad boy real quick. Can really be used on anything. Preamps, distorters, saturators, they really work on anything from a kick drum all the way to your lead sound, to an entire bus, even to your master track, they work. So definitely want to check that out. Let me go ahead and show you guys here. So again, this is the preamp that I'll be giving away once we hit 30 viewers in the stream. $49 value, all for yours for free. Thank you so much for the follow there, Talez. Sorry if I mispronounced your name there. Thank you. So yeah, definitely check this out. And we will be giving this away. So invite your friends, let them know about the live stream, and let them know about the value that I'm bringing with my feedback and the giveaway. All right, Fan of Freak, you are up. Super Thick. You are up with Super Thick version 3. Super thick. That girl is super thick. I want to be featured on your next track. that was me auditioning for your next track right there. Will that work? And the music video. This is also the audition for the music video. She is super thick. She is super thick. I know you want that on your next track and in your next music video. So sign me up. So any feedback for Fan of Freak on Super Thick, go ahead and put that in the chat. Type away what you liked about the song and what you think can be improved. As always, I know I always say this, killer track. But all your songs are awesome. So I definitely, definitely want to mention it. So as far as, what I liked about the track, of course, the arrangement is always on point. With club tracks, it really is about the arrangement. You want to have something that's DJ friendly, something you can mix in and out of easily, and this has that. arrangement that works well for DJs. Of course, the intro, what is it like? Couple phrases, intro, outro. And as far as, the full length 512, that works well for a club type track. Also, the vocals worked really well, kind of the theme of the track, the little keys that you had in the background, and the kind of like Reese-ish bass line, along with that more pluckier, like low bass stab that you had. That worked really well with the groove of the track and helped, carry the track forward. Let's see. I do have a few pieces of feedback that I really think could help improve the track. I guess maybe they're kind of not kind of minor to like medium-sized feedback changes to your track. Once again, usually I don't have that much feedback for your tracks because they are pretty on point. But for this track, I haven't heard this so much in your other tracks, but this track sounds too limited. It sounds too limited, and the depth of the track is a little bit lost because of this limiting. Again, limiting brings up, it reduces the dynamic range, the difference between the quieter parts in your mix and the difference between the louder parts in your mix. That is the dynamic range, and limiting reduces that. And when that happens, the depth often goes with the track. So what I mean by depth is the foreground elements and the background elements. That's what I'm talking about by depth. Everything seems like it's up front. That's what limiting does. It makes everything seem like it's up front and it lacks a little bit of depth. I mean, this is a club track, so I guess, it wouldn't necessarily be a terrible thing to have everything up front, per se. But I think it could have a little bit more room to breathe, as it just felt a little cluttered, the mix. And I think that just had to do with the limiting that was used on it. So yeah, really just reducing some of the compression, saturation, distortion that you have on the mix, on individual channels, buses, master channel. That would solve that. I mean, just compare it to some of your other tracks and to some other professional records in the same style or genre that you're working with, and I think you'll find that it's just a little bit too much squished as far as just, I guess, the depth. Think about the depth of the track and listen to the different elements, the foreground, the background in those tracks, and compare it to yours and see if you want to make adjustments to that or not. What else here? What is up, Christian? Thank you so much for joining. Do appreciate it. As well as OFSQ. Thank you so much for stopping on by. Good to see you in here. Today I started at 11 a.m. It is my mother's birthday, and we have a bunch of other things to do later today, so unfortunately I wouldn't be able to do the 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time start date here. Let's see. So any other feedback for Phantom Freak, go ahead and put that in the chat. Once again, what you liked and what you think could be improved about the song. Thank you so much, Christian. I'll be sure to relay that message on over. So, limiting. Also, I think that the bass that you had could have been changed a bit. Thank you so much for the follow there, WayOFSQ. Do appreciate it. And again, if you want to get your track heard, send it on over to Daniel@SoundShockAudio.com for a chance to get it on this live stream. The bass line, I think part of that had to do with the limiting. It just felt a little flat, the bass line. It didn't feel like it had that much impact, the more Reese bass sound that you had. So I definitely think some of the reducing of the limiting and having a more foreground and background would help that. But harder side chaining, more variance in that bass line. So I heard there were some supporting bass lines that came in, that wow, and all like those other cool sounds that came in. But overall, the respace, it had some pitch movement in it. It wasn't like it was completely stagnant. I just think like modulating of that sound at certain points could help. That could be anything from throwing on a reverb delay, could be something like a distortion, adding some sort of FM modulation to that bass sound at certain points. Just adding more, I would say, more effects to it to make it more interesting and to make it, just carry the track a little bit better. I think that is what needed, because it felt a little stagnant. And once again, I think that also had to do a little bit with the limiting that we had in there. Thank you so much, Wei OFSQ, for sending on over the track. For how long? I will be going until 12:30 today. Fortunately, I won't have much time to go past that today, as again, I will not be available. All right, sweet Christian. Thanks again for stopping on by. Lurk mode on. Nice. And one more thing I want to say. So let me go back to the bass. I think in the track, as far as the bass line goes, I think you could have a bass that has less high frequencies and is a donkier bass line. Donkier meaning that like dong 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 dong. Like a pluckier bass house bass line. I'll say that. With less high frequencies. I think that could work well for this type of track. That was just an idea as I was listening to it with the bass line. So that's maybe something to consider. But yeah, that's kind of the feeling that I had when listening to the bass line. Have it less high frequencies, a lower bass, lower frequency bass line, I would say. Well, not necessarily lower frequency, just not as many high frequencies. Maybe not like a saw wave, or having more of a high cut filter on that saw. So that's really what I was feeling with the track. That could also help with the three-dimensionality of it as well. Less higher frequencies, meaning like the hats and stuff, the higher frequency stuff. When you have a sound that takes up some high frequencies, mid-range, and you take them away, it'll definitely add more dimensionality to the track. I think that's not a word, dimensionality. I think I just made up a word, dimensionality. Let me Google that right now. Dimensionality. The curse of dimensionality refers to various phenomena that arise when analyzing and organizing data in high-dimensional spaces. It's exactly what I'm talking about. It's exactly what I'm talking about. All right. I sound smart again. So when you remove high frequencies, it lets the other high frequency sounds shine through a bit more, and that will add some more three-dimensionalness, now that's a made-up word, to the track. So that's just, again, something to think about. All right. Sweet. Moving on here. Thanks again, Fan of Freak. Let's see who we got. Rolling right through. Robert Villacorta. Are you in the stream right now? Let me know, Robert Villacorta. And what else we got here? Jim Hallingstrom. Are you in the stream? Jim Hallingstrom. And Robert Vallicorta. Are you in the stream? Let me know. Jim, there you are. Let's do it. Let's do it. And again, before we go over the track real quick, we do have the giveaway of the STA preamp 2. 5 tube circuits in a simple saturator. Very handy. Actually, I don't think I've seen 5 tube circuits in a saturator before. One of a kind here. All for yours for free in the giveaway. $49 value for free once we hit 30 concurrent viewers in the stream. So invite your friends. Let them know about the feedback, the awesome feedback that you can get in this stream, as well as the giveaway. Right now we are at 13, 17 away. 17 away. That's not that many viewers. 17. Let's make it happen, guys. All right. CF, Jim.
Time is flowing so fast, so fast.
Nice CF Jim. Really unique and deep house track there. So any feedback for CF Jim, go ahead and put it in the chat, what you liked and what you think could be improved about the song. So overall, love the vibe. Loved all the little melodies that you had in there. I thought those worked really well in the track. The vocals worked well. I would just say it's kind of a little bit of a mixing issue in the track. And that really came down to the sub. The sub was too loud in the mix. Oftentimes, when a main element is really loud in the mix, it's hard to really comment on other mixing in the track. But for sure, I could hear that the sub was too loud in the mix. The kick sounded a little too quiet. Some of the other elements sounded too quiet. The mid-range wasn't quite there in the track. And I think that had to do just because of the sub. It was too loud. So once you fix the sub, then, look at the other elements, the kick, the mid-range in your track, specifically like the 150 hertz to 500 hertz range. Make sure it's present enough and carrying the weight for your track, as that is a very important part of the frequency spectrum that is often neglected. A lot of producers, of course want to have the full frequency spectrum working well together to create a full mix. But, the low end, the sub, and the high frequencies are always what you think of when you think about a sound. You want your sound to be bright and present and crisp in the mix. And you want, your sub to be fat and carry a lot of weight. And the mid-range is often forgotten about. But this is the area of the frequency spectrum that really provides the weight and power for your song and could really leave the song dull. So I would recommend reducing the volume of the sub and just seeing how that affects the mix. Because again, it's really hard to tell if some of those elements were too quiet in the mix, if there wasn't enough mid-range in the track, if the kick was too quiet. It's hard to tell when a main element is much louder than the mix relative to the other elements in the mix. It just shifts your perception of the other elements. So that's something really important to think about, everyone, is when you change elements in your mix, EQing wise, volume wise, timbre wise, it'll shift other parts of your mix. It'll shift the perception of other parts of your mix. So that's, just something to think about when you're making a lot of changes in your mix. And really just be cognizant of that. So once you make a major change, just realize that your perception of the other elements could change. So that's just something to think about, that everything is connected together in your song. Yeah, mainly in the drop, that's where the sub bass is a little too loud. Sorry to hear you're having problems with the stream there, Harakari Music. Hopefully that will be fixed. What else here? That was really the main thing that I wanted to talk about. That's really... I mean, everything else in the track worked well. I'd love to hear more of it. Only a short sample of it, only a minute, so we don't have the full track to hear. But that's, as far as what I'm hearing, definitely finish it. Definitely reduce the volume of the sub. And yeah, I'd love to hear more of it in the next live track feedback stream. That'd be awesome to hear this a little bit more finished. As yeah, I'm interested to hear where you're going with it. I mean, you have a great idea here, really unique, and yeah, would like to hear where you are taking this song. So thank you so much, CF Jim, for sending on in your track. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate it. Star Ride, you are up next. Let's do it. Let's do it, Star Ride. All right, Star Ride. Yes, absolutely loving it. Really unique track. Loving the side trance with the ambient chill type vibe you had in there. Worked really well. Blended those two perfectly. So any feedback for Star Ride, go ahead and type away in the chat what you liked and what you think could be improved about the song. And let's help get a music production discussion started around the song and all things music production related. So New Pointless says, really cool concepts, but there isn't a clear progression between the different sections. I definitely agree. The track felt a little disconnected, I would say. The progression that you had here was amazing. I loved it. Very captivating, very emotional, set up the track really well. You had a lot of great ambient sounds, textures that worked well together, but the clear, cohesive idea from section to section was not there. Most of the time I'll hear tracks that don't have the sounds that work well together, that aren't layered, and that work well together. They have the idea, but the textures and layers aren't there. This is a little bit the opposite, a little bit of the opposite here. So New Pointless also says it feels more like a condensed album than a track, and you really could do a whole album with this ambient chill vibe, the big beats, the generative sequence. So as New Pointless mentions, there's three concepts in there. You have the vocal, the big vocal in the beginning with the ambient textures building up to the side trance drop. Before the side trance drop, you have the big vocals, then you have the lead that's going crazy, and then the big beat drop. So you definitely want to have variation in your track, but it feels a little bit like a separate song with those. So definitely try adding in the piano to the intro. I'll definitely recommend that. That would definitely help bring them together. That was definitely what I was going to say, bring the piano in. Also, Stole, thank you so much for the follow. I do appreciate it, man. Once again, if you want to get your track code, send it on in to Daniel@SoundShockAudio.com for a chance to get it on this live stream. So, bringing the piano, you could add in the vocal a bit more in certain spots. That could help. And also, I think the lead that you had, the crazy lead, was a little bit too much. It felt a little time stretched. It felt just some of the chopping up that you did with that, it just felt off in the mix. It felt like it was more of a low quality sound or something like that at times when you did a lot of the chops. And I know you're trying to get very creative with it, but I think something a little more cohesive would work well with not so much of the stuttering, the chopping, the crazy out of control notes. I think that would help. Specifically when you go off into the side trance drop. Zed Nadix, thank you so much for the follow there. Sorry if I mispronounced your name there. Yes, Zed Nadix, thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Good to see you on in this live stream. So I'll go into this track right here and talk about the lead. So that section right there, when you transitioned into the drop, I think that worked fine, where you had the notes going crazy, it was reverberated out. I think that worked well, but specifically in here, it just seemed well, as your title says, synths out of control. Personally, I don't think it flowed that well with the track. I think it only flowed well once it was transitioning into the next section. I guess that's just a stylistic choice there. Let's see. New Pointless says, what I would do is get rid of the synths, but do the same out-of-control processing to the vocals and then work that into the drop somehow. You might find another solution, though. That's definitely a great idea. I never thought of that. You could definitely try doing that with the vocal. That could work. It could be a good way to tie the track together a bit more. So that's really only the main things that I wanted to talk about the track. Other than that, it was great. And, I love the psytrance vibe. That definitely always gets people dancing on the dance floor. So another killer tune there, Starride. Thank you so much for sending it on in. And once again, we do have the free giveaway. STA Preamp 2, 5 tube circuits and a simple saturator, adding 5 types of valve saturation to your tracks. The STA Preamp is the core effect of the STA series. That is the giveaway. $49 value for you guys. All we need is 30 viewers in the stream, and I will run the giveaway. So invite your friends, get them on in here, get their music in here. Let's get feedback on it, and let's give away this STA Preamp 2. All right, Aaron Reyes, are you in the stream right now? Let me know. We can go over your track. Aaron Reyes. Aaron Reyes. Let's see what else we have in the stream. Arianit Nura, are you in the stream? Arianit Nura. I have a very short clip from you here. Again, let me know if you're in the stream and we can go over it. All right, Aaron Reyes and Telez are here. So let's go on over them. Nice, Aaron Reyes. Nice, man. Loving the future trash. Haven't heard that one before. I'm going to start putting that on my future-based songs. Future trash. The new genre of 2019. So any feedback for Aaron Reyes, go ahead and put that in the track, in the chat. What you liked, what you think could be improved about the song. Overall, love the future trash vibe you had going. The super saw synth, the vocal chops, the big drums, all those worked really well. So you definitely nailed all the different elements in the track. I definitely think it could have some polishing a little bit around the edges with the mixing and with the with the arrangement a little bit. So for the mixing, the kick was a little bit too weak in the mix. So this brings me to a point that I have made many times in this live stream, and this definitely requires the full screen here. Now this is definitely a little bit of a stylistic choice, but kind of not. Yeah, I guess kind of not. I would say. I mean, you can. Okay, I'll just say it. In electronic tracks, you want the kick to be the loudest thing in your mix. The kick is the heart and soul of your track. It's what drives the rhythm. Electronic tracks are very drum-centric, and the kick provides that power, weight, heart and soul, rhythm, everything. So you want it to be the loudest thing in the mix. That doesn't mean it should be crazy loud compared to all the other elements in your mix. Don't get that wrong. You don't want to just jack up the volume of your kick and have everything be a lot quieter in the mix. That is what I hear in a lot of electronic tracks. That's not something that you definitely have to, live by. There's no specific rule that you have to stick by in music. But that's usually what works the best in electronic music, is having the kick be the loudest thing in your mix. It works well. And this track, in my opinion, is no different. I think having the kick be the loudest thing in the mix would be the best here. So I'd recommend, at least for now, just turning up the volume and seeing how that sounds. Oftentimes it's just that simple. Just bring up the volume of the kick and that's fine. Sometimes you'll also have to adjust the side chaining that you have, the amount of side chaining that you're doing, the envelope that you have on your side chain, whether you're using like an LFO tool, a volume shaper, or the attack and the release. Usually just the release. The attack you usually always want to be as lowest as possible when you're doing side chaining, because you want the volume to be ducked out immediately as soon as that kick comes in. So really just the elite release that adjusts the volume envelope of the side chain, as is if you're using a compressor. So yeah, try just bringing up the volume of the kick, and that should fix it. But just be cognizant of that when you're working on an electronic track, that you kind of want to have the kick be the loudest thing. Experiment with it, and if you don't like it, that's fine. You could have it be quieter in the mix. But for this, it just lacks power in the drop. When I was first listening to the track, I couldn't quite put my finger on what was missing in the track. As soon as the drop hit, I was like, okay, this is cool, but it's not quite that powerful. And I really think that was just the kick. Okay, end of rant there. I thought I'd at least mention that, because I have heard that many times, and I had mentioned it many times. Yes, it is a fundamental that I live by there. So yeah, that wasn't just to signal you out there, Aaron Reyes. Like I said, I've heard it many times in people's tracks. So I just wanted to do the whole full screen thing. All right, so the kick. What else? More vocals, I think, could have been put in the track. I know you had the vocals in the drop. I know you had them in the build-up and the background of the track. I just think just having, spoken words in there, even just more of the vocal chops in the sections that were a little bit dry, namely like this section. You could have like chants in the background. Really just any vocal in any shape or form would work. Just experiment with it and see what works best for your track. Another thing, more transition effects I think can be added to the song to help smooth out just the entire track a bit. More sweeps, layer your sweeps, effects, risers, down sweeps, drum fills, little percussion hits. Vocals could also be, a filling element and help with transitions. So just experiment with that a little bit more, get into some of the layering of those effects, and I think you'll find that it adds a little bit more of a professional polish to your song. And yeah, that's really it. Really only some small fixes there. Nothing major. Like I said, the track is excellent. Love the progression that you had in the track. Love the arrangement of it. Just a little bit of a polishing up in the song there. So thank you so much. Aaron Reyes, good to see you back in the stream. Thank you so much. I hope to hear more future trash from you. I love that. I love the genre name. Future trash. Give me some of that future trash. And this keeps popping up. All right. Here we go. We have Tales. Let's get it started. Nice. There, Tales. Good start. Thanks for sending on in the short clip there. So you said this is just a loop I made today, planning on turning it into a full song, but I'm afraid it kind of sounds like Levels by Avicii. I tried imitating Nos, Hungry Hearts. Would that be copyright striked, just that loop? Because obviously the rest of the song is going to be completely original. I mean, if no chord progression is copyrighted. If you, like, I don't know the song that you mentioned. I mean, I know Levels, but you said you imitated Hungry Hearts. I didn't get the Levels vibe from it. But yeah, in general, chord progressions are not copyrighted. You can use the same chord progression in a song. I mean, there's so many songs that have the same chord progression. You know, in Western music, you know, there's only so many chord progressions that you could have. And specifically for like simpler forms of music like pop and stuff like that, you'll definitely hear a lot of the same chord progressions. You know, it's the sounds around them, the pattern that you use for that chord progression, as far as like if you play like 16 notes with that chord progression, you know, that's what makes the song unique and different. That's not to say that there's only a limited number of chord progressions. I mean, they can get pretty complex. I guess just in simpler forms of music that don't have quite complex chord progressions, you'll hear a lot of the same chord progressions. So yeah, it's fine if you imitate it. Let's see. I mean, it is Avicii style. That's next. Future cringe. Nice. Nice, Aaron. Okay, it's in a different key. Even if it was in the same key, once again, it'd be fine. I mean, it would sound like you're kind of imitating it, though, if you do it in the same key and you do the same chord progression. So, you know, your song would always be associated with that specific song. So that'd be, like, best if you didn't do that. I mean, which you said you didn't. You used a different key, which is definitely fine. Yeah, definitely keep doing your thing. Hopefully, yeah, continue with the song. Definitely worth continuing. And hopefully I'll see you back in here next Friday with a more full song there, Tales. So thank you again. Do appreciate it. All right. Let's see who we have next here. Purple Beats. Let me know if you're in the stream right now and we'll go over your song Sunlight. Let me know. And after that we have this is Zendanix. I believe you're still on the stream here. Let me know if you're in the stream also and we can go over your track. Ivan, nice. You are in the stream. We'll definitely go over it. I didn't see you in there earlier. Let me go back here. Ivan, there you are. Okay, sweet. Said Zednatics is in here. Ivan's in here. And Purple Beats, let me know. Once again, if you're in here. And right now we'll go over Ivan's, as he sent in the track first here, and then we'll go over yours, Zednatics. And again, let me know. Oh, is this Purple Beats? Is this you? WayOFSQ? Is this you? All right, we'll go over Ivan's first, as he was the first one to send in the track. Again, let me know in the chat. In this nice there, Ivan the Dictator. Thanks for sending audience Strawberry Shortcake. So sorry we didn't have quite the time to go over the 11-minute track. I just wanted to get a feel for it. I do have other people that we need to get tracks on the stream and given feedback. So again, sorry for not going over your 11-minute track here. So overall, I love the vibe you had. I love the trancey, upbeat vibe. I haven't heard a trance track in a while, so it's good to hear. I would say definitely the mixing needs to be improved. I'm not sure. The mix sounded kind of low quality. I'm not sure if you exported it in a lower resolution, but it doesn't quite sound. It just feels like frequencies are missing in the track, and when you export at lower qualities, the detail and the amount of information in the file is not there, meaning it sounds not quite as high quality. So maybe check the settings of your export. that can be best. Also, I would say that, yes, definitely the video that New Pointless put in the chat there, the one on gain staging, is something that you should definitely take a look at, as I think this will definitely help improve the mix already. Gain staging is a really important part of mixing. It's the first stage of mixing that I go through, as it really sets up the mix to have as balanced of a mix as you possibly can. So if you choose the right sounds in your mix, sounds that complement each other, sounds that don't have too many overlapping frequencies, and you arrange them out well, and then you gain stage, meaning so the specific volumes of the different elements in your mix are set at specific levels. That's what I meant by gain staging. Then if you have that set, you have the elements working well, you have the specific elements that aren't overlapping, and it's gain staged, then your track will already sound a little bit mixed. You'll of course need to do some compressing, EQing, and other mixing processes, but it should sound fairly mixed already. And you definitely have the good elements in this track, and I definitely think just gain staging would help solve a lot of the mixing issues in this. The track does sound a little bit muddy as well, and I would definitely recommend watching this tutorial video that I'm going to put in the chat as well. And I definitely recommend checking out this video. I'll briefly explain it, but I go into much more depth in the tutorial here. So you'll definitely want to check out the tutorial. Let me find it here. Let's see how to EQ a muddy mix. Here we go. Okay, so if you didn't export in a low quality, then it's probably some of the saturation, distortion, and limiting that you're doing on the mix that make it sound kind of strained. It sounds really strained in the mix. Like frequencies are like clashing and they're pushed too hard volume-wise. That's usually what causes that, I guess, lower quality sound. So if you check out this video, how to EQ a muddy mix, really it's just, I'll break down the process. You write down on a piece of paper, write down on a notepad, the main elements in your mix from top to bottom, as far as what you want the listener to hear most of. So on the top of the list should be your lead sound, top of the list should be your kick sound, just really main elements like that. What do you want the listener to hear most of? And then you EQ according to this list. So if you have a lead sound, you want that, of course, to be heard by the listener the most. Let's say you have a synth in the background that also has overlapping frequencies with that lead sound. Since you want the lead sound to be most audible, you'll go ahead and EQ that synth sound that shares the same frequencies and have that sit a little bit farther back in the mix. There's only so many elements that you have in your mix that are full frequencied before it becomes muddy and just creates a mess. It's really about subtractive EQing, especially with full frequency sounds like this in your track, where you have a lot of big bass lines, you have the lead sound, you have the super saws in the background. All those are very frequency rich and cover a large part of the frequency spectrum, so definitely EQing will need to be done to create that space. You know, if you really listen to professional tracks and you really pick apart the different elements in the mix, you'll notice that while each individual element, you'll notice that the mix is very fat and it's full. But when you listen to each individual element, I mean, of course, that's unless you have the stems. You can't quite solo each individual instrument, but there are definitely stems out there that you can download for remixing of like trance tracks, of pretty much any track that you're working in your genre. Find those, listen to each individual element, and you'll notice that each individual element isn't exactly full frequency. It's not huge. It doesn't sound incredibly fat. It's the combination of the different elements in the specific frequency ranges that come together to create a full mix. To create a full mix, it's not about throwing in a bunch of different full frequency sounds and trying to make it as fat as possible that way. It's about having very defined elements in specific parts of the frequency range that only occupy that specific part of the frequency range and that come together to create a full mix. So hopefully that makes sense. And definitely check out those videos there, Ivan. I definitely think they'll help out. And thanks again for joining the stream. I haven't seen you back in here in a while, so do appreciate it. And I hope to see you in the next week's Friday live track feedback stream at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And let's not forget, everyone, 30 concurrent viewers in the stream. 30 in the stream. And we'll be giving away the STA Preamp 2, 5 tube circuits, and a simple saturator, $49 value for free in the giveaway. All right. Who we got next here? Who do we have? Who did we have? Okay, so I guess Purple Beats is not in the stream right now. So we'll go over Zenatic, and then Philip, and then Way OFSQ. Nice there, said Nadix. Thank you so much. And Liquid P, I called out your name at least like 10 times. Let me know if you're in the stream when I call you out there. We can definitely go over your track. We'll go over it in a bit here. So any feedback for said Nadix, go ahead and put it in the chat. What you liked, what you think can be improved about the song. So I would say overall, the vibe of the track was great. I love the keys you had in there, the little bells, the drums, the big chunkier drums. Those work well for a really groovy and melodic tune. I definitely think a little EQing would help, and a little gain staging. I feel like the drums were a little bit too loud compared to the other elements, just a little bit. I think maybe just bringing down the overall drum group a dB or so would really help. Also, some EQing of the keys, the little bells in the background. I think that would really help also, just to have them be more defined. It felt, yeah, again, a little bit in the background. That had to do with the drums being a little bit louder. So yeah, again, just bring them down a little bit, and then do some EQing on your keys and your bells, just again to make them more defined in the mix. Even some saturation, some brightening up of them could help. Again, I'll go ahead and put that link to the how to EQ a muddy mix in here. I think that'll really help. Again, just muddy mixes happen when there's a lot of frequencies that overlap. So that's always another thing to be really cognizant of, is the overlapping frequencies in your mix. You know, you're never going to pick sounds that are completely separate from each other. You know, you're always going to have sounds that, you know, mix together, that have overlapping frequencies, and that will need to be EQ'd. This can, of course, be reduced by the different layering that you do, knowing what sounds you want where, but overall, you know, some EQing will need to be done. And, you know, the idea of this track is definitely there. The arrangement is great. And yeah, it's just some fine tuning in the mixing that'll help out this tune a little bit. And, you know, vocals could definitely fit in this song. Again, any shape or form. I've mentioned this before. I like to have vocals in every single one of the tracks that I'm working on. It doesn't matter what genre it is. I will have vocals in there. It could be an ambient pad vocal in the background. It could be an actual lead line. It could be a chant. It could be a humming. Vocal in any shape or form will work really well. A song called Dreams, smooth vocals in the background, smooth female vocals in the background would work really well. So definitely recommend looking into adding vocals to this song. So thank you so much there, Zed Addicts. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate it. Sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right. All right, so we are running out of time here, so we are going to go over the next few tracks pretty quickly. That way we can get to everyone. So we'll go over Sunlight real quick here. And let me call out everyone else to see if we're in the stream. Philip, are you in the stream? Philip. And then we have Wayo SFQ here. He is definitely in the stream. But yeah, Philip, are you in the stream? Let me know. How would you pronounce that? HVX. We're going with that. HVX. Yeah, let me know if you're in the stream. If you don't let me know, then we're going to pass on over it. All right, here we go. Sunlight. Alright, nice there, Purple Beats. Thanks for sending on in the Sunlight track. So any feedback for Purple Beats, go ahead and put that in the chat, what you liked, what you think can be improved about the song. Overall, really cool vibe. Definitely has that Sunlight vibe. I would recommend definitely adding in some more percussion sounds to this, bringing up some of the percussion sound that you have in the mix already, as some of them were tucked away. Definitely add more variation in the percussion. Also, I think some layering of the samples would work really well, or sorry, not the samples, of the synths that you have in the song would work really well to add a little bit more of a professional touch, as I did feel a little bit preset-y in the mix. So again, just layering those synths to give a more complex and interesting sound that will definitely translate to the listeners. Also, I think adding in transition effects, different types of sweeps, rises, crashes, really anything to help segment the song out and have it flow a bit smoother. That would be definitely advisable for this song. And the vocals, as I mentioned in the last one, vocals would work really well. Any shape or form, chants, a whole vocal line, hum in the background, just anything to really connect the audience a little bit more with your track. Vocals will do that, so I definitely recommend adding them. So thank you again there, Purple Beats. Do appreciate it. And I hope to see you in future live streams. Again, we'll be hosting a live stream at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Today was a little bit earlier than usual, as we'll be a bit busier later on today. So again, at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the same channel. Hope to see you in there. All right. Philip. I don't think Philip is in the stream here. So, WayOFSQ, you are finally up here. Awesome. Thank you. There, Liquid P.
Bitch, we taking pills, I got it inside, yeah. Bitch, we taking pills, I got it inside, yeah. Are we together like it is right? Feel the key every time to your heart, every night I taking all those pills when I die, taking all those pills when I die to fly away.
Nice, WayOFSQ. Loving the gritty hip-hop track. Any feedback for WayOSFQ? Go ahead and put that in the chat, what you liked, what you think can be improved about the song. Any feedback is greatly appreciated. That way we can get a music production discussion started around this song. So overall, loving the vibe, love the vocals you use, that distorted guitar. All those worked really well to get that gritty vibe. I really just think it was a mixing issue with this track. When the kick, the 808 came in, it was quite muddy. One thing that I noticed that could help solve the mud was the stereo imaging in your track. There were a lot of elements that were mono in the mix. The kick, the 808, the vocals not so much. I mean, you had the stereo imaging of the vocals a bit and effects. The distorted guitar that was in mono as well. And I think that just caused kind of a bit of a clutter in the mix. It was kind of hard to understand what was happening in the background of the mix with those elements playing all in mono and some of them sharing the same frequency range. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. The kick and the snare weren't quite hitting as hard as they should have. I think just turning down the sub will help with that. Yes, I was definitely going to say that WayOFSQ. Widen the guitar. I think that would be the element to widen in this track. That'll definitely help clear up the mix a bit. But also, again, reducing the volume of the sub. As I mentioned earlier in this stream, main elements in your track, when you change the volumes of them, it shifts around the dynamics of every other element in your track. And I think just doing that will do it in a positive way. Sometimes you'll shift an element and then, other things will sound too loud. They'll sound too weak, but in this case, I think it'll be a positive shift if you do reduce the volume of the sub in your mix. What else here? That's really mostly it. The spreading of the guitar, maybe like the snare, you could pan off to the side a tiny bit, like yeah, just a tiny bit. Like, I don't know what like DAW you're using, and like Ableton, it's like 1 to 50 on each side. So like 7%, I would say, around there. Something really small, just again to give more space. You know, not only does panning help with just stereo interest, it also helps with the cleanliness of your track as far as keeping mud away from the mix. So a double purpose of panning elements there. Yeah, the sound design was pretty cool on the guitar. Definitely agree there. Ripter official. All right, sweet. Alrighty. And who else we got here? Again, HVX, are you in the stream right now with Hip Hop Beat Unfinished? You definitely go over it. Let me know if you're in the stream, and I will play this bad boy. Excellent point. New pointless. No pun intended there. I think the track could benefit from instruments just being turned off from time to time to give more variety and allow the elements to breathe. I definitely have this problem at times when working on music. You have so many different elements that you want played at this, at the same time. You want people to hear, but really having specific instruments play at specific times really helps highlight the instrument, give interest, and create just cleanliness in your track. I guess just not having it be muddy. So again, a dual purpose, interest and mixing wise, it is definitely advisable. So that doesn't mean that you only have to play it at very short times in the mix. So you could highlight the guitar, after every 4 bars, after every 2 bars. You could highlight the vocal, just have the vocal and the guitar playing, take out the drums, really mix and match with the arrangement as far as taking away elements and bringing elements back in. Definitely a good point to make. That's a really good way to just add variety and create an arrangement. So you could, when you're working on your tracks, you could have a lot of main elements playing together, could construct them all, and just play the mix and match game by taking away specific elements and bringing them back in. That's definitely an arrangement technique that people use that is effective, and I would recommend trying that out. All right. Sweet. We have our final track then here from MIDI Mailer. Let's go over that bad boy. What remix we got today from MIDI Mailer? Pictures MIDI remix. Let's do it.
I'm looking through all these big pictures, reliving our broken memories. And every smile makes me wonder, there's heaven to hell I cannot see. You were begging me to notice, and I was too afraid to let our minds up what's the difference, but you've been holding out on me. It feels like I'm losing everything if I leave it right here. Would you tell me right now? The pieces breaking, you won't say. I got a feeling that you won't let me down. You are the light beyond the lens and I'm the camera. Frozen time, we're wrapped in disaster. I'm every little memory you make before it's gone. I close my eyes and I try to capture Guessing these questions run in circles, and there's enough to go insane. Cause you can filter every moment. You can't stand to see nothing. The pieces breaking, you won't say. I got a feeling that you won't let me down. No. You are the light beyond the lens and I'm the camera. Frozen time, we're wrapped in disaster. On every little memory you make before it's gone. I close my eyes and I trust. Miss the most. Every high and low, and you look
Nice, Mini Mailer. Loving it, man. Loving the remix. So definitely one of your better mixes that you sent in. Definitely love the drums that you have in the mix. Love the vocal processing that you have. Definitely a lot cleaner in the mix, more present. You could hear all the different elements. So good job. I definitely recommend, as far as mixing wise, maybe cleaning up the instruments a little bit as far as EQing, brighten some of them, clear away some of the muddy frequencies. That really would help have the elements that you have in the mix shine through a bit more. Really just some minor adjustments. So, when you listen to songs that are in the specific genre that you're working with, notice how you can hear each element very clearly. It's not to say that you couldn't hear the elements in the mix. I could definitely hear them. They definitely sounded a little bit, I guess, duller than I would want to hear them in the mix. So again, some brightening of, let's say, like the pianos, maybe brighten up the vocal a tiny bit, add some saturation, just a little high shelving on the EQ. Really something minor. Little goes a long way here. Even something from like a 0.5 dB boost would work on some of these instruments. So just a little bit polishing up. Again, EQing out some muddy frequencies. Really just solo the instruments that share similar frequencies and do EQing this way to find what conflicts with each other and find out how each element can really stand out in the mix a bit more. Also, I think the tambourine was a little bit too loud in the mix. I would definitely recommend reducing the volume of that a little bit. With those high sizzling tambourines and hi-hats that you have in your mixes, just in general for producers here, you'll usually want them a little bit quieter than you think they should be in the mix. Especially when you have a section that doesn't have a lot of high frequencies in the mix. They'll come through pretty strong, and it just felt a little too dominating in the mix of those tambourines. So definitely just reduce the volume. But overall, really great job on the track here. So thank you so much for sending it on in Mini Mailer. Do appreciate it. Definitely seeing some improvements in your mixes over the last 6 months that you've been coming into this stream about, maybe longer. So thank you so much, Mini Mailer.